Hello. Oh, wow. Okay.
Good evening.
I've never had a.
So there's the Dark Crusade. If I'm not interrupted anymore. No. Madeline has, well, as a matter of reporting back to her origin, arrived at the Merchants Guild Hall in the city, and she's being shown to a small room where she will report her findings. The message she has from this other group in the city.
Yes. You get ushered into to the Merchants Guild Hall. Again, just the locations seem to change with the with each night. It seems to change on the Seneschal's whims. Certainly makes it hard to keep track of. That's certain. And yeah, you get pulled into one of the one of the many rooms in the Merchants Guild Hall, and the Seneschal is sitting right there. Your shadow retains some of its viscosity as you've come down the Merchants Guild Hall, and it remains until you enter the Seneschal's office, in which case you feel the kind of eerie fucking presence, the very eerie presence, like you've been dealing with this for days now, vanish. Your shadow kind of looks normal again. It doesn't look nearly, it doesn't look like some unnatural, thick, material darkness. It looks like a regular shadow. You can manipulate it how you please, as you've already proven.
Madeline will just pause for a moment and just look at this and just make a mental note of it. But she will just get in, curtsy to the privileger. Good evening, my privileger. And come in and wait to be seated.
Ah, my good Sister Madeline. You've been busy?
I have been working on completing your wish.
Yes, from what I'm aware, you've been very, very good at finding wherever these creatures are located and negotiating with them. Rather diplomatically.
Quite so.
Surprising they took to you so well. Even I didn't expect such a warm approach, but I suppose you two very much spoke with one mind.
Well, more than I believed at first. But, well, I am surprised that you know so much about me too.
'Tis my profession.
I know. But yes, I met with them. And they were, well, it has been some time since last was there, but she seemed quite, well, sometimes have passed, but the person I met before, seemed joyed in the fact that Well, I was indeed around, and that she recognized me. Not really what I expected myself, but we had a good and productive conversation.
Yes, I've noted many things from your foray into their dwellings. Not where, of course, they said they actually were upon our initial agreement, but we expected this to be false.
Well, one cannot really expect them to. Well, they are creatures of maybe not darkness in the same as us, but at least it is. We are more similar than I first believed.
In addition to offering you the sun and the moon. I found that intriguing.
I must apologize. What exactly do you mean?
A foray into the supposed realm from which we draw our power from. According to myth and legend, of course.
They did. Well, she did.
Yeah, she did, and I wonder why. Regardless, we have evidence that they have not necessarily honoured their agreement by stating that they dwell in an area they were not permitted to reside within. This would explain why the Setites are so aggressive.
That would also explain why I did not agree with them or agree to her deal. At first, I came back to you.
Yes, the South Wall slums. I would have preferred if they set up shop there to begin with, frankly. I do not like their presence in the Arab slums. It's a destabilizing factor, and it gives the Setites something to rail against. Which is not particularly good for us. The Markavians, however, are less organised, more skittish. They would be more likely driven to chaos than driven to organisation by having these creatures in their territory. Of course, we cannot simply allow them to spread like this. And the notion of green fire, I've been warned about this more than once.
It is quite a thing to behold.
Pardon?
The green fire. But it is not calming in any way. It is just as foreboding as other normal fires.
Similar to the tricks of Tremere, we're not quite as tainted, however eerily familiar in regards as to what other visitors, the former Baron included, has warned me of. I do not like the notion of suspected infernalism within this city. We already have we do not need them. We definitely do not need the image of them having dwelled within our city, engaging in such heresies for decades. And neither would you, I dear hope.
Of course not. However, any plans to do that would need to be very subtle and Well, carefully considered, these things are definitely powerful.
Although we can easily destroy them now that we know where they live. The question is how far underground they spread. I'm sure the Nosferatu will have that information in hand, however.
I had a good idea, but she also knows quite a bit about us.
Oh yes, another disconcerting fact. How could she know? We have not seen her above ground in decades.
Well, they have ways of traveling, which makes me think that her offer is, well, the one offer was not made in jest. I am quite certain that they can move quite freely from location to location from underground. She would not need to come outside on the top.
Possibly. Yet another concern. This is the problem with outside entities like this. Even after they've entrenched themselves, they remain a loose brick in the tower we've been trying to build and maintain. Or the hammer to it.
Are we sure that these are indeed? From my understanding, the threat or suspicion of infernalism is more new than their presence here.
No, but they could be connected, and there is circumstantial evidence to suggest it. And do we really want to take a risk of creatures that clearly have gone out of their way to operate in bad faith?
I know that this is quite straightforward, but what evidence are these? I am curious.
I'm rather disappointed, Madeline, considering you were there and were witness to some of this. I thought you'd know some of the ritualistic behaviors trend towards that of demonic worship, and the green fire itself, I believe it was given a name. Balefire. Not exactly something that inspires any degree of confidence. Heard from your close friend Auric the powers that he has seen, that he has been witness to from Black Mary.
I have.
Odd
Well,
correlation, wouldn't you say?
well, well, then I suppose we could do drastic actions, or we might open a more permanent communication with them. And, well, if they were to get a good enough deal, they might give up their accomplice. We might gain a very good source of information on this Black Mary that we know next to nothing of.
We have evidence they might be dealing in demonic worship, but no evidence that they're connected to the Black Mary.
I merely heard that you were suggesting such, but excuse my carelessness.
It is merely a correlation in the fact that both relate to specific forms of behavior that are dangerous to all of us.
So you
They are
know
not
also,
necessarily connected directly. only in their ability to control malicious powers, or a servant to it, servile. Both of these are troubling in their own right. Regardless, I believe she struck up an accord with you.
She did indeed.
Spend some more time among them, milk them for what they are worth, and then we will be rid of them.
Madeline's not. So, I am to relay a message that the terms are agreed upon for now.
Yes, I will inform the Malkavian primogen of a developing situation so that she and her clan might prepare to lock them out. They attempt to move in, they fail. During this time, you may do what you wish. Once that window closes, that is the end of that scenario. They are not necessary anymore to this city's functionality, and are beginning to turn into an expansionistic threat.
I understand, my Primogen.
I applaud you for your ability to acquire so much information, however. I do wonder, even I must wonder, how much of it perhaps was our ruse and how much of it was genuine. He kind of looks at you and awaits your response to that pseudo-accusation of collusion.
She just smiles in her normal sense, and she just says, "Well, I must admit, herself and I have a very similar idea of, well, the acquisition of knowledge and that pleasure and is not necessarily the best way to acquire knowledge. It is a long story, really. I will not lie. I will not say that there was not a common understanding between the two of us. This might have helped. I fully expected most of what she said to me was of little import to her, or little import if it was known, so she would share it gladly in order for, well, to potentially get more information out of me. But, well, when it comes to the clan and the city's decision, my loyalties are with you and with the prince, as it has always been.
If I may ask, OC, how truthful is that statement? As
I am rolling
Madeleine,
right now.
yeah, because naturally, you and
Wow.
Juanza really hit it off.
Wow, that's 5 successes.
5 successes, you say? Well, I mean, that's a lot. That's a fair roll. We'll see if we can figure it out. Let me just find this sheet for a second. Actually, I required 2 people to make this roll. So first I'll roll for the lower figure, which probably isn't going to succeed, but there you go. Yeah, no, he doesn't. That person doesn't succeed. And I'll get Primogen. Oh, bugger.
You what?
Oh man, yes. And I guess, yeah, even with the specialty, he doesn't win. You can't tell whether you're lying or not. He kind of gives you a gaze. Kind of a stark gaze for just a moment. I'm glad to hear. However inviting they might be, remember that these are creatures with their own agenda.
Quite apparently, they are quite. Well, one's emotion seems to quite drastically change around them, especially in that place. I felt a distinct change in the air, in the sense when you were there. I do not know which kind of mysticism could do such a thing, but maybe it is just the nature of them themselves. I do not know. One thing I have noticed in their in that area and the time afterwards, something that is more disconcerting perhaps. I can still control a shadow, my shadow, any shadow as any of our clan can, but it appears to be more thick, more viscous, or whatever you would probably say. Yes, thick. Have you ever felt something like this or experienced something like this?
That's his roll. Only 5 successes for a 12 dice roll. You may roll against that if you wish.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you beat him on a subterfuge check, and he had more dice than you and a specialty.
Yeah, but
Not today, Satan. Even though that is an impressive dice pool, he gives like literally no emotion away whatsoever. There's nothing in this man's face that would indicate anything either way. As he just says. Fascinating. That sounds similar to our own abilities, as I'm sure you came out of age. I'm sure you're very much aware that the darkness we summon is far different from the natural darkness of this world.
mm,
Would be worth looking into from my end. I'll show if we do discover anything from these studies, we'll let you know so you may better prepare yourself for the future.
very well.
I'd however advise you not to go running off on your own and studying it, considering you're already in deep with these creatures.
And considering the possibility of infernalism, it is a threat I am aware of and something that should be taken quite serious.
To be demon-hounded is a grave curse, and more often than not results in the canine being put down to stop the demon rather than the other way around.
I am aware.
It is worryingly common. However, continue your work. Continue gathering what information you can. Give them their little arrangement to cling to. and let her, this broken creature, try and attach herself to you as you will.
What, you servant that was given to me?
Oh no, she is all yours.
I will be in utmost careful.
I am more concerned of the one that calls themselves Clotilde.
As am I. As far as I know, they are creatures of emotion and not necessarily the most pleasant of emotions.
Don't get carried away in it.
I know. We can
Anyway,
frenzy, but I am quite certain that their more true form is not one of calm and collectiveness and impassionate control. I think it owes more to our beast, its nature. That is as much reason as I need to stay quite at a distance.
glad to see you understand. But that is all I have for you this evening. Your new task has been set before you. I expect you to complete it. Once you do, you'll be rewarded handsomely for your trouble.
Thank you, my Primogen.
Always a pleasure to deal with someone who is engaged in such duties as my own. You may excuse yourself at your leisure.
Melon will get up, curtsy, and she will leave.
And as she leaves, oh hey, there's someone been waiting out for this whole time. He does not look particularly happy. Ulrich has been just kind of sitting, well, I kind of leaned up against the wall again in his noble clothing, not the golden armor and his overlay. And it's just been waiting for you.
Ulrich, what a pleasant surprise. What is wrong?
He kind of, it gives you this stare as if to say, what's not wrong? But he does not say that. He merely says, I am fully aware of what just happened back there. In that place with that broken person and their trophies.
Well, you know me well. You would also understand, if you know everything about it, that it has a certain similarity to my way of viewing the world.
Really? Or is that just what she's saying? Because from what I'm perceiving, that seems to be extremely self-indulgent of them at best.
Would you walk with me a moment? She just looks over to the door of the place she's just left. And then looks back to
And you don't have to roll empathy, but you can tell that Ulrich is being extremely self-restrained in how he's talking to you. You know he's got a lot to say about this, and that the words he's picking are perhaps the most diplomatic you can think of. You could probably tell if it wasn't you, he'd have much worse to say about what has just happened.
Ulrich, perhaps we should speak another place.
He kind of looks a bit frustrated. He kind of looks around. Kind of waits for you to just take a place.
All right, the two of them will go to a more secluded place.
It'll take you a few minutes. Aura just walks in furious silence. No one comes anywhere near you, too. Frankly, the look of you both, both of you are quite frightening sight on the night out on the street with the state you're both in. Particularly Oryx.
Where?
Do you find a private room or somewhere in a local bar, local tavern?
And as they are in and Madame closes the door, I may have been uncareful, and for that I apologize. I may have been caught up in the moment of someone who seemingly felt like I did. But you are right. It is convenient, and it might be a way. I have noticed certain things of my shadow. It is thicker. Well, has been. It is gone now, but
I've been down this road before. They're only promising you things so that they can trap you further. This isn't the road you're on. They're taking you down the wrong road. They're trying to turn you away from it, not towards it.
And what road would that be? What is it that they worship? Do we even know? They are not like us. They may not have the concepts of roads that we do, but clearly
No, they don't.
But clearly they have a plan. Clearly they have something that they worship. But what is that? And that is one of the things I would like to know.
They are creatures of corruption. They always have been, even worse than the Setites. They're a blight on this city. It was a mistake for me to let them in. I mean, how can one condone just letting some sorry, addicted child just hang from chains?
You do know that I was not in a position to argue with them, right? Me being impolite in that situation might not have ended too well for me.
Did you have to join in?
No.
If I recall correctly, you were still given the option. They openly gave it to you.
And I took it. If this was foolish of me, which it probably was, it is another failure, another pain that I must take. More scrutiny and more pain I must bear.
Only one road out of all our philosophies, out of all our paths of morality, endorses cruelty for its own sake. Not yours, not mine, but they do.
Madeline will just roll something.
It's true. Level 6 on the Road of Lilith is actually cruelty for its own sake. What's that roll, sorry?
That is conviction. Madeline will just stand there and something, given Madeline's nature, uh,
It's
given
definitely
Madeline's,
hitting you that you are very, very, very much on the borderline of
yeah,
what your
and,
robe
and
allows for.
given Madeline's nature, this is something people very rarely see, but she will actually, there will be a bit of blood actually running from her eyes as she just kind of sits down and kind of hides her face in her hands. It just seems to quiet down.
Ulrich kind of stands in silence for a few seconds as he allows her to kind of process the situation before giving her a minor embrace.
How could I have been so foolish? All right. How am I going to interact with them again?
They'll want to guide you there, but I don't think they'll want to force your hand because I don't really know why. But I think they want people to dig their own graves.
She kind of just removes most of the blood from her eyes, and she just looks and smiles at Ulrich, and just looks at him and just says, "I thank you for I thank you for showing me this, reminding me. I would never ever deal with this at that. Therefore, I should never deal with these people." Thank you. You have helped me once again.
There is a slightly relieved smile on his face.
I just hope that I can find a way to not indulge that will not anger them too much. But that problem will have to be dealt with in time.
I would not be able to forgive myself if I simply allowed you or simply watched as you drifted away from who you wanted to be. Here you are.
Mm.
I'm glad to see that you haven't lost focus.
Well, I did lose focus for a couple of hours down there, but well, this this change in my shadow and change in light that is around them. Do you know of it? Do you know what is from it?
What, the green flames?
No. your shadow, you can still control it, but well, it seems more dark, more deep, more viscous and thick around them. I have not heard much of this. The Primogen said only that we control something that is not natural shadows, which is partly true. Although this effect is something I have never seen before. Is this a telltale sign of infernalism, or someone delving into this, or is the source of such a thing another thing entirely?
It sounds from what you're saying, it sounds more like a telltale sign of our own tricks rather than theirs, but I don't know the full spectrum of what they can do.
Hmm.
That's not 5 successes on a manipulation check, that's actually 7 because he got 2 10s.
Oh, God damn it.
So I don't believe you can actually beat that roll.
Unless I have balls. No, because he does the defender.
Yeah, he's still the
And
defender, so
I don't have a. Well, actually, I do have a specialty in it, so I will goddamn roll it.
oh yeah, no, if you have a specialty, you can actually contest that roll and win.
But I don't.
But 2 1s say fuck you, which is a real shame because that was actually a really good roll otherwise. But
Actually, if
Ulrich
that
has
had just
always
been
been a manipulation primary character, contrary to what everyone would think. Which is exactly why he's a manipulation primary character, because no one expects it. Much like the Spanish Inquisition.
there is another thing. It is unrelated, but you should know. You have met this young child there, Irene, yes?
Yes.
Did you hear of her unfortunate state a couple of nights ago?
Hmm. She entered some sort of pseudo-fugue state.
She had been dreaming. Perhaps she was still dreaming. I do not know.
Hmm.
But she dreamt of a woman. Clad in dark stripes or veins, adorning her body. Darkness was around her. Dread screams around her. And she appeared to have wings.
Wings. That sounds strangely Markavian. I'll have to think on that.
If I did not know better, I would say that she saw the image, one way or the other, if there's anything to this, of a Diablerist. But,
But there are many of those inside and outside the city.
well, depending on how you would interpret such a dream, again, if it is nothing but her imagination as she rests during the day, well, you could interpret it another way. But this is your quarry, she saw.
She thinks it's her. That would explain
No.
why she.
No,
No.
I do not think she knows or thinks anything of it, but what I heard led me to think, well, I know I apologize for saying this, but if one were to diablerize someone so closely associated with an angel,
Hmm.
it
But
was built.
explain why she was. You say she didn't think much of this, but she was asking me the true face of the person I'm pursuing.
Mm, yes, which is what leads me to believe that she might be a better liar than what is first apparent, and that she actually puts more than passing concern to her dreams.
All canines are good liars to some extent or another. They needed to survive. I have warned her off pursuing such a threat in any fashion. As much as it pains me to simply leave her with the dreams to stew in her own fear, there's not much I can do.
I will speak with her as much as I can in the future, guide her when her sire cannot.
I fear she might fail to delineate the insignificant difference between hunting and finding.
Mm, possibly.
The outcome for her will be the same either way, and that's not something I want to encourage.
Tell me, if she is truly here or will come here soon, how how do you intend to find this person? How do you intend to combat the person that is significantly more powerful than most people here?
She's going to make a move eventually through some of her proxies. She's probably building them up right now. I can't really do much until she does. Her powers of concealment are potent indeed, and there's no real breadcrumb trail leading us to her. She hasn't left any real line of evidence for us to chase at the moment. We'll have to go by correlations of events, and for that we'll have to wait. For now, we should build our defenses. I myself, I know I am safe because I have certain affinities to certain effects that inherently lend me strength against her, or perhaps render her weaker. Her inexperience of her newfound powers renders her vulnerable.
Right.
She is deceivingly weak, perhaps. She appears stronger than she actually is, but she's still far more dangerous than any of us.
Quite so. And another thing, perhaps like you have just saved me, I should give you a word of warning, although you are a bit more careful than I am in such regards. When she makes a move, who is to say that she is not willing or wanting to make said move to lure you out, a pursuer that she wants to get rid of?
She most likely does. But I suppose it will come down to how she does it. I'll need to figure out how the trap is set and how to undo it. It's also possible she doesn't perceive me as much of a threat, considering her newfound power. She might still consider herself, or she might now consider herself, much more significant than I am. That's a mistake, and I don't think she'll make it. I think what we should do for the moment is challenge her own presence within this city through her own minions and slowly build up a profile of who she is and what she's after here and how much damage she can do. Once we settle that, we can begin closing the noose on her. But we won't be able to do that until she makes a move of her own. Unfortunately, it appears right now the ball is right now she's it is very much her move to make. There are still things I can do, however, things we can do. But the fact that a lot of us have been from this city, away from the city for some time, limits how much we can do to impede her. Most of our influence is dried up here. A lot of it lies in the hands of other creatures now, many of which are the elders. You'll probably need to sway them if you do not have influence of your own.
I am working on that, as you know. Well, I thank you for this talk. I will have to be more careful.
Maybe one day if you show the aptitude for it, I might teach you this trick I've learned.
Self-defense?
It's very situational. Not many of our clan know it. It's rather obscure, which doesn't help either.
Well, you already teach me something, but that is more general, I suppose.
It's quite literally a holy shield.
No, I was thinking of what you spoke to me about a little while back. And she just points at her eyes. Just the thing you showed me with your eyes to see in darkness. But I will have to repay you so very much if you continue teaching me things.
The eyes are just a start. There's a lot to gather. Soon you'll be working on your entire form.
Oh, I do that. Well, quite a few other aspects, but yes, I suppose I will.
Nothing like this, however. I'll keep teaching you that. You show an aptitude for it.
As you know me so well, you know I have an aptitude for quite many things.
Yes, you do.
She gives you a fairly wicked smile.
That you do.
And one of them is to listen to my good friends. A rare talent.
He kind of gestures. He does kind of his arms kind of sprawl wide and does a wide bow towards you.
Come, let us go to well, do you want to continue the lessons here, or should we go to a more private place?
You know where and he air quotes domain is in this city. Meet me there.
Very well.
And as the two walk off, you begin to understand why he says, "Meet me there." As you begin to see a very real example of what he meant about working on your whole form, as he literally begins to turn into a bat.
Madeline
And
just
flies away.
Stands there and smiles, then shakes her head a little and begins to walk off towards the domain of Ulrich. And with that, the scene will come to a close. Thank you very much, players, for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.